Welcome to the Taupo District Council meeting, February 28th of February 2017. We'll go. Afternoon councillors, good afternoon staff, good afternoon members of the public. Let's ask Councillor Truman, finest Manga Kino representative, to let us say karakia or blessing for the day, please, Councillor Truman. Thank you.
E te atua kaharawa ki a tata mai koe ki a mātou i tēnei rā, manaki te a mātou mahi katoa, I runga te ingoa o te matua, o te tama, o te wairua tapu, ake ake, amene.
Amen. Thank you very much, Councillor Truman. Apologies, I don't think there's any apologies. We've got full house, good to see. Just a slight change in agenda item. Just wanted to announce that the piece of the agenda 6.3 in the confidential part, we'll have that in an open meeting regarding Ruapehu Alpine Lifts, the economic development opportunity, and I'm going to slot that in at just after 5.6. If the ladies could take their notes, and I'm not too sure if we had any presenters coming or people coming. You know that, John? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 2, conflicts of interest. Anyone has got any conflicts of interest they want to announce pertaining to this agenda item today? No, that's good, so we carry on. Item number 3, and that's the council confirmation of the minutes of the 7th of February, held at the council chambers of the council meeting. Is there any points of clarification or any matters arising from those particular minutes?
Through the chair.
Councillor Williamson.
With regarding 4.2, I'm not going to speak regarding the petition because everyone knows where I stand with that, but I'm just a little bit embarrassed and a bit disappointed that some of the language used by the person presenting the petition regarding the definition interpretation around senior staff. So I just wanted them to accept it from me. I think probably others may agree. So a public apology on their behalf.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Any other? Councillor Park.
Yes, I was just wanting to ask Mr Green about under 4.5, we're expecting a report from Tonkin Taylor, if that had been received yet.
The work continues, as I understand it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a clarification or?
Chairman, it's not clarification. I took the opportunity to watch the debate or the whole agenda the day after the 7th of whenever it was, 7th of this month. What I found, and I've raised this before, disappointing was the ability to hear. So, and I know there's complaints from the public at the back. And also, when I was absent in November, I watched the meeting on webcam and I sent a text from overseas to Councillor Cousins to tell him to tell the fellow councillors to speak up, and I think there was a pause. We need to do something about this because it's really annoying the public that they can't hear what we're saying. So I'm not sure what the course of action is. Mr Green.
So through the chair, we have a project which will be coming to you very shortly around improvements to this room, which will include the sound system. So I expect to have a workshop with you this month on that.
Thank you.
Okay, could I have a mover please for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Jollins, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. 4.1, the Fred Committee, confirmation of those minutes here, please. Any matters arising from those particular minutes or points of clarification? Can I have a mover, please, that those be correct? Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Hackling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item 5.1, Waipapa Street, Kuratau, access way stopping. Mr Dennis Lewis. Good afternoon, Mr Lewis.
This is, I'll take the item as read. It's to do with an access way down at Kuratau. It's been blocked off since 2013. We going through the road stopping process, as it is road reserve, and I'm recommending, or the recommendation is that the Fleet Committee be given the power to hear the submissions on that process. Taking the questions.
Thank you, Mr Lewis. Councillor Cousins.
For the chair, I thought the community board might be in the right place, or no? First off, no.
No, so it's council roading reserve, so I think it needs to be a council committee, and your Fred, to us, seemed like the right place.
Sure.
You know, that's fencing, roading reserve, so.
Yes, that's fine. I just want to make sure that the community board's been used where it should be. I'm happy for the Fred committee to pick it up, in my view.
And as a non-Fred member, I'm happy to second that.
Okay, any other questions or queries, comments?
Jim, just in the agenda item, it's going back a while, there were some Australian blackwood trees were removed at the request of the residents. What was their request for? View, blockage, shade? Can anyone remember?
All of the above, I think. The answer is all of the above.
So effectively,
This is quite a few years ago from memory.
okay, so effectively then we can remove trees that block views.
This is prior to the Fred committee being in place and prior to that policy.
Thank you.
Been moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr Lewis. 5.2, exemption of Destination Lake Topol Limited and Data Capture Systems Limited from being council-controlled organisations. Jeanette Painga.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Jeanette.
Good afternoon. I would like to take this item as read. It's a mechanical item, but I'm happy to take any questions if anyone's got any.
Okay, any questions of Jeanette? No, all pretty straightforward. It's a suggested recommendation there. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you, Jeanette. 5.3, submission of proposed Waikato regional plan change, Waikato and Waipa River catchments. Ariel and Sue, good afternoon, ladies.
So we had the workshop with you to discuss the key submission points that we wanted to propose for the submission, and we have here the item to allow you to endorse that submission. We've prepared the submission and we'd like to take any comments or feedback on that.
Okay. Thanks, Ariel. We got a copy of the submission, have we? Submission's here.
Yes, that was sent out separately from the
Okay,
agenda.
cool. Yep, good. Any questions of Ariel or Sue on the proposed regional plan change?
Mr Chairman, I do have a number. Thank you for putting the submission together, and I'm very pleased to see in the letter that's going to go, you mentioned about the short and long-term economical and social impact on the district, or on the region. If I could turn to page 39 of this document, I believe our submission needs to go a lot further. On page 39, it states that where a property area is greater than 4.1 hectares, for grazed land, the stocking rate of the land is less than 6 stock units per hectare. Now, to me, that actually indicates that when we look on page 84 in regards to the stocking rates that this document wants to achieve, it talks about a dairy cow being 10.4. So effectively, if you've got a farm that's over 4 hectares or 4.1, effectively that would mean you would be farming, and I said this at the last meeting, about 6/8 of a cow. Whether we make a submission to say that that is illogical, because it also then falls into line with page 40 of that document when it talks about having a slope on a hill greater than 15 degrees. Now, you don't have to go very far out of Taupo to see farmland greater than 15 degrees.
Yeah.
It then talks about fences at certain parts being so far away from a water body. Now, one lot it says 3 metres and another 5. If you had 1,000 acres with streams going through them at 5 metres or 3 metres, how much land would you lose out of productive farming? I know what the intent of this document is, but I'm very, very concerned, as others have expressed. For instance, Doug Edmeades, a well-known agricultural expert on fertiliser, etc., has claimed that it would be the downfall of the Waikato. But also it's the long-term effect of property valuations. And I'm just wondering whether we're taking a blunt instrument to try and achieve something. The other concerns that I have is in regards of the amount of documentation that farmers on small blocks of land are going to have to take part in. Reports having so-called pseudo-experts coming on telling them how to farm a 4.1 acre property. And then what was more concerning is the fact, with no disrespect to the persons involved, was in regards to the appointment of the expert. When it talks certified farm nutrient advisor is a person certified by the chief executive or officer of Waikato Regional Council. I'm not sure what the expertise of a person that would be the chief executive officer of any council to actually undertake that particular decision making. And then we move to the dry stock farming, where there's more implications as to what you can and cannot do. So I'm just wondering, while we've been quite polite in the way we've phrased our submission on those various areas, I'm wondering whether we take a slightly stronger stand.
And sorry, just to add to that, I agree totally with everything that Councillor Boddy has said.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. It's not often we agree, just so I can say that. But in this case, he's absolutely right. Also the dry stock and the situation of horses. We have an equestrian centre in our district, and there are many land plots on 10 plus acres, and we are trying to encourage an equestrian centre where we have one. Are people going to buy 10 acre lots and want to be grazing horses? So how are we going to attract people to come and live here and use our equestrian centre? So we haven't really, emphasised that. So that's a really big situation. We really need to make more note of that. That's extremely important. That's a big thing for our district.
Thanks for that feedback. I guess the question that we have as of today, we're happy to go away and make some changes to the submission to reflect those points, or did you have some suggested wording changes that you wanted to add right now? But we can circulate those after the meeting. That suits?
Councillor Boddy?
Well, if we just start off with the 0.6 stock unit. Traditionally, and I'll explain the word acreage to Tom over there because he's far too young to remember acres, 4 acres.
Thank you.
Traditionally, we used to farm at 1 cow per acre, so effectively 2.5 per hectare. That's running a property as a completely self-contained unit. Today, we have what we call the milking platform. Everything's brought in, cattle are taken off, etc. So part of the thing I think we need to look at is the way we address the way we actually farm, but at least gives them that indication that this is the way we used to run, and we didn't have the problems that we do now, effluent runoff and that sort of thing. So it just seems to me that what we effectively may be endorsing is the ability of the farming community to actually make a living.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest ones was, if we look at a document such as this one to do with Mr. Barton and the work that he's been doing around the other side of the lake, and I believe how hard it is to actually, with the downsizing of properties, to actually survive, and the economic impact this is going to have on some of those farms, and that's real.
Councillor Cousins?
And through the chair, we've already discussed it, I think, anyway, Ariel, that we are devaluing our land around the district.
Yes.
Every step, every little
And
bit
this is
of
just
progress.
making it worse.
So what's the time frame again?
So the submission's due on March the 8th.
Okay, well, I suggest probably, Ariel, you still asking for feedback on this, or preparing our submission. So obviously there's some commentary coming from there, so I think if those councillors want to feed some more stuff into the system, they could do that? Is that correct?
Absolutely, and Sue and I are happy to draft up some additional wording that reflects the comments that have been made and send that around for people's consideration, so.
I think you're getting reasonable nods around the room. I think, it's a pretty major thing that, that is happening. So I think, previous farmer in the room and business people in the room, I think, are alerting to our concerns there. So we need to perhaps strengthen up that economic viability of this plan.
Yes, we can do that.
That's equestrian centres are
All right.
concerned.
Okay, just Zane, when you talk, can you pull that around? Yeah, I don't think we could hear that. Councillor Hickling.
Your Worship, this was raised at Mankino, representative group by the representative on that group who is a farmer, was really concerned and was hopeful that the council would put a submission in, and a strong submission. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's Mr. Mankino reference group. That was your
Mark Seymour.
Mr. Seymour. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
perhaps,
Mark.
perhaps if there's some dialogue with him too wouldn't
Yeah,
do any
sure.
harm either. Yeah. Okay, Errol and Sue, are you okay with that? So the process going forward now will be particular councillors that have got a concern about this, and we'll double check the submission and suggest perhaps some wording changes. And will that need to come back to us again, or would it be too late?
It would be too late to bring it back to the next meeting because it's due on March the 8th.
Perhaps if you circulate it around, and the final endorse amendment. Okay, yeah, cool. So we'll change the slight recommendation here.
The recommendation has with amendments in it. So.
Endorses the. With amendments, yeah, you've got the brackets, yeah, cool. All right, thank you very much. Okay, do we have a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Right, 5.4, adoption of the triennial arrangements, agreements with the regional councils. Jane, good afternoon, Jane.
Hi. Right, I'll take the report as read, and I will note that Waikato, Bay of Plenty and Horizons are pretty much standard, and they have just been amended to include the changes to section 15 of the LGA, which just basically strengthens the agreements. However, Hawke's Bay, we are recommending now to actually withdraw the triennial agreement from being adopted today. This is predominantly because an agreement was agreed to on the 14th of February. It then went to the Hawke's Bay Regional Council on the 22nd of February, where they proposed quite a substantial change. This led to the other councils, the other territorial authorities that have recommended adopting the triennial agreement, agreeing to the original agreement on the 14th of February and ignored the change on the 22nd. As a consequence, we went back to the other councils, noting that because we're a non-primary agreement signatory, that we will be removing it from being adopted today. We also noted that basically we are party to 4 agreements, and this is the only one where we've actually had some issues. So again, I'll open up to questions.
Sorry, Jane, you mind tell us what the issues are?
Right. The major change that the Regional Council has included in the agreement that they adopted and the territorial authorities have not is establishing a resource consent committee that will also have elected members on it. So there's a lot of discussion between the councils about whether or not that's appropriate.
All right. Any questions? So you're suggesting to park the Hawke's Bay one?
Yes. And we will adopt it when they've got a final full agreement.
So Hawke's Bay are aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And the rest of the, sorry to labour on this, the rest of the Hawke's Bay councils, are they signed or?
So most of them have, but they've adopted different agreements. So it's not actually the same agreement that they have adopted.
You've got the differences there, and essentially because we're not that primary signatory, we're basically saying now that what we're suggesting that you say is you guys sort it out and come back to us when you've got something that we can consider, and we'll reconsider it then.
Okay, all right. I think we've got this as clear as possibly we could.
Just through the chair,
Let someone understand. Yeah.
I just had one question of Jane, thank you. Are we non-primary signatories for Horizons Bay or primary?
Non-primary for Horizons as well.
Oh, okay, just what, I didn't see that as clear from the agreement, it was...
Right.
Have a look, or am I looking at... It didn't seem to separate us out.
Page 1. Principal signatories are 1 to 8, and then non-primary signatories 1 to 3, and we're number 1.
Okay, sorry, I must have misread that.
Okay.
Yep, no, that's okay, thank you.
Any other questions or queries of Jane? Okay, so the recommendation there is the council adopts 1, 2 and 3, correct? Cross number 4 out. Yes. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Truman. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Jane. Right, 5.5. Clause 20A, changes to the district plan. Mr Nicholas Carroll.
Good afternoon, councillors. Your worship, you'll remember that we're going through a process of taking the district plan from being on written paper and sticking it into lovely digital devices. As part of the exercise, we've found a few errors in our pieces of paper, and clause 20A of the first schedule of the Resource Management Act allows you to fix those up without any other process. So this is simply a procedural item to hopefully allow you to rubber stamp those minor editorial changes.
Very good, Nick. Thank you very much. Concise delivery of your report. Any questions of Mr Carroll? No. It's unusual, isn't it?
Very unusual. Yeah. But both the conciseness and the no questions.
Suggested recommendation there. Could I have a move, please? Moved by Councillor Kingy, seconded by Councillor Pickling. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much, Nick. 5.6, Council Performance Report. Mr CEO.
So yeah, I'll start that off, Your Worship, and then the team can walk you through what we need to. But this is obviously a performance report for the months of November, December, January, despite the fact we're now at the end of February. So it takes that busy summer period. I guess in summary, I'd say that that it has been a very busy summer period. And whilst we've had some issues over that time, I'd definitely class them as growing pains due to us being so busy. Just out of interest, yesterday we got the December Economic Indicator report from our independent economist, and I think it's probably worthwhile just sort of quickly highlighting a couple of those because it does make really good reading for our district. So he's identified through there that we had a notable gain in population over the 12 months to December. We had growth in the value and volume of our building consents, increased sales and values of residential property, significant increase in the retail spend, and significant gains in visitor nights, stays and spend. So combined, that's given Taupo District, will put Taupo District in a really strong place. The summary of that is that we've had 2.8% GDP growth in the last year, as opposed to the national average of 2.4%. So I think it's fair to say that we're punching above our weight, above the average. And as I say, that's been demonstrated, I think, by just how busy town has been over that summer period. So that's the good news. Flowing on from that, you'll see in the financial results for the period also positive, mainly due to income, and that's mainly due to those things that I've just talked about. So increased building consents, increased population, leading to increased developments and therefore development contributions. But not to be understated, also $500,000 less than budgeted in our expenses. So all in all, it's a pretty positive place to be. I'll hand over to the three musketeers at the front to walk you through.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Green. Okay, Mr. Ward.
Thanks, Gareth. I think you've pretty well stolen my thunder and said everything that I need to say, really. So, which is fine. I'm more than happy with that, actually. So, probably I won't repeat it too much. It is a revenue story, as Gareth said. Key areas there on the front page of the financials is.
Neil, I'll stop you. Just make sure people are looking at the same piece. So they.
Sorry. Yes, we did have a slight hiccup this month, but the good news story is that the handout that we've given you is slightly enlarged for the optically impaired like myself. So that hopefully might help. So in terms of the financials, we need to be working off the handout. But then when we come to the performance measures, that is the one in the main agenda. So apologies for the slight mix-up there, but hopefully we can work through that. So a revenue story, 3 million ahead in revenue is the main point to make there. And that's across the groups of activities through community service, transport, facilities and investments is the three main groups of activities where that occurs. So I think we'll move through to the next page there. The financial statement measures, we're on track in terms of our financial strategy on debt. Investments, we're ahead in terms of cash, giving us our net debt picture a lot better. Moving on to the next page, which is just the straight financials. Again, the explanations on the right there, which we've already covered in terms of the stronger revenue story coming through and the $500,000 under in expenditure.
Feel free to ask questions if you want.
Yeah, I'll pause there before we go into the group of activities, if you like. Sorry.
Through the chair, can we jump back a page? Sorry. Through the chair, to the financial statement measures. Capital expenditure 9 million. So we're saying there's 18 million that we haven't spent. Correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And what does that relate to?
We'll cover that as we go through the activity statements. It's probably the easiest way to do that. Yeah. So in terms of the third page there, the key descriptors of the variances are on the right table there. I'm happy to take any questions on that, or we can move through to the activity statements. Okay, I'll jump into the first one there. Nick will talk us through community services.
As was noted, revenue's been up, particularly around fees and charges. It's probably the key number in terms of the actual financials. If you look at the performance reporting, a couple of issues that have occurred around essentially responding to issues which have been raised in terms of food safety and noise complaints. You will have noted there's been a couple of communication challenges there in terms of our internal systems, which led to those. Those have now been resolved, so you shouldn't see those occur again.
Right, water. As you'll see there, our performance measures were meeting 100%. Just perhaps an update for the Waitanui, that's our biggest capital spend this year. The registrations of interest for the contractors for that closes today. We'll be shortlisting contractors for a request for tender, which will be open through March through April, and looking to award a tender for that contract in the April meeting. The only other one of note there, Bonshaw Park, we've been working on that third well. We have found a reasonable supply of cold water that's low in arsenic, but it's also high in iron and aluminium, and we're just working through those issues at the moment. We have one more flow test to do before we confirm that as a productive well. The rest of those projects are pretty much running to target. Transport, we had a little bit of a hiccup here with our response to customer services over the Christmas break, mainly due to staff being off sick and on leave, and make sure that by using existing resources and temporary staff that we meet those timeframes.
Mr Chairman,
Councillor Body?
Mr Lewis, where are we with the changes on the traffic plan for Acacia Bay Road? Remember you did some meterage out there on, and you sent me the email way back probably 12 months ago.
Is this the shifting of the speeds?
Correct.
The speed sign? No, I'll have to find out where the contract is at with that and get back to you.
Yeah, thank you.
The seal extension is commencing tomorrow. Koipi Road's finished, and the Hooker Falls we expect to go out to tender in March. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we had some issues with the costings that came through with the tender for the Whariwaka to Rainbow Point, and we're reviewing the design for that one.
Councillor Pickling?
Dennis, just a query on capital expenditure.
Yes.
I see there's 4.3. I can see that there's probably 2.5 renewals, but under the capital works list there, there's 4.3 million, but where does it all, where does it add up?
So how does it all fit in? You're right, there's about 2.7 worth of renewals in that 4.3 million.
Through that graph, yes.
And there's about 1.3 million of bow wave from previous years.
Yeah.
So what the financial report covers both bow wave from previous years and the current capital spend.
Yeah.
And that's largely where that difference is.
I just couldn't sort of join the figures together a little bit. I could see the renewals and the capital works thing, but it didn't quite calculate. Thank you.
Community facilities.
Not much to say under community facilities, obviously not many projects. You will notice there's a couple of red and orange marks on our beautiful little donut graph. They essentially reflect the satisfaction measures that we have, and we've previously reported at the beginning of the financial year. So that's why you're seeing those. The good news is that we're due to go out with that NRB satisfaction survey again in the next couple of months. And that means that by the end of the financial year, we'll have a new set of satisfaction results, which we'll be able to report to you, and then again through the annual report through the community as well. So those will be updated.
Probably the only thing I'd say there on the finances as well is that you'll see that the fees and charges there, again, that's that revenue story quite a way ahead. And the only other item to note there is probably you'll see the depreciation costs are quite a bit ahead. That's due to the land and building revaluation is at 30 June 16, where the both land and buildings valuations increased quite significantly. No depreciation on land, obviously. That's been, if you like, taken care of through the 17-18 annual plan, so you won't see a large variance next year on that.
Wastewater, there's a couple of projects there that have fallen behind, and we've been reporting those for a period of time. The Turangi wastewater treatment plant's going to stay like that until next summer. It's dependent on DIA doing the dredging of the canal. Kinloch wastewater disposal field, we need to undertake some consultation based on an RFT that we've developed. Just another note, you would be aware that we're going to start up a vermicomposting operation to deal with our biosolids. Well, the first load was taken in there a couple of weeks ago. Once we get a decent amount of vermicompost or worms, or there's something to show, then we'll do something more formally. But it is operating now, and the biosolids are going up to the vermicomposting plant.
Good news.
Solid waste. Again, we've been reporting through the year that we're not going to meet our waste reduction, and that's largely due to the economic activity. it will be helped somewhat by the biosolids that now are going up to the vermicomposting operation. And the new cell in the landfill, that work is progressing as anticipated.
Reflected by the additional revenue that you're seeing in that activity.
Stormwater, everything's pretty much going to plan. The Tauripa stormwater device, we're looking to put that out to tender shortly for construction in May, when hopefully events and traffic and whatever you dies down around the town for a little while, so we can build some stuff.
Right, again, democracy and planning, you will have noted the performance measures are not being met for about 29% of them. Again, that's just those satisfaction measures, particularly around, actually no, that's simply about the performance measures which relate to satisfaction. So we'll come back up with some revised ones once we've got the NRB results. In terms of projects, three I want to highlight. The Turangi Reserve Management Plan is progressing but slowly, so that's why it's marked as a red. It's very important from our perspective that we do that hand in hand with Ngāti Turangi Tūkua. It's very much a partnership project, and what that means is we need to give and take a little bit in terms of those timeframes on that. Okay. In terms of the cycling and walking strategy, simply from a resourcing perspective, we've had to slow that down a little bit. We still expect to have a draft by the end of the financial year, and that will involve some pre-engagement with Bike Taupo and Access Taupo and other interested parties. So that's moving along, just not quite as fast as we would have liked. What that means is the consultation part of that project will fall into the 17-18 year, near the beginning.
The speed bylaw review is being held up because NZTA were developing a speed management guide. That's now just been released in the last couple of weeks. So we need to have a look at that and see what impact that's going to have on our speed limit bylaw, and then build that into that work stream.
Righty, over to the investment activity. Again, a pretty strong revenue story there coming through in the fees and charges around the LIMS, which is really a community services type stuff with the regulatory. Finance revenue 249 ahead there on our investment revenue, and the other revenue there is primarily unrealised foreign exchange gains and some realised gains there as well, driving that number. And on the flip side, there's a couple of unrealised losses there on foreign exchange as well on the investment activity. In terms of performance measures, that's everything's on track in terms of the investments.
Lastly, from me, in terms of economic development, you'll notice a few oranges there. That's simply reflecting not the good news that Gareth talked about in terms of the latest market view data, but the previous quarter's data. So that's simply a case of us catching up in terms of the reporting. So the good news that we've just heard about today will be reflected in your next monthly performance report.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Anything else?
Yeah, I'll probably just quickly skim through the Treasury report.
Yeah, sure.
So page 117 on my report, hopefully the same number, is just got the summary of the Treasury report, but I'll dive into the individual elements of it. So the investments, page 118. Probably the thing to point out there is and the graph on the right-hand side, the red bars there, the short-term cash, we just breached that limit momentarily around month ends, chasing some slightly higher yields, but that didn't impact upon our cash flows in any way. And the explanations around that are on the left-hand side under performance policy compliance. And you'll see there from the graph on the bottom left that our investment returns there in a dollar sense are tracking very strongly. So it's a good news story there. Page is right. 119. You may recall last month I reported that we would be, referencing the graph on the right-hand side, the kind of fawny coloured, orangey, whatever that colour is, bar on 2 to 3 years. This week, was it last week? I can't remember. We just got signed off on our extension to our 40 million credit line with the BNZ out to 31 December 2020. So that locks in some good liquidity there. So that most of that bar jumps over into the 3 to 4 year area. So very strong on liquidity there, which is one of our key metrics that we measure. The same story regarding interest rate risk position and performance there that we've talked about every month in the descriptions there. Page 120, probably the key area to note there is that we're just fractionally behind on the TL performance, but by the end of the year we're confident that will be above the dollar budget there. And page 121, all in compliance on the credit exposure counterparty limits.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's it.
Good. Thanks very much, Neil. Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions or queries, Mr. Green?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one question for Mr. Green. On page 75 under emerging challenges, we talk about the Carter Holt Harvey litigation. Are we noting there's contingent liability in our accounts?
Yes, we are currently.
We are.
Yes.
That was my question as well, but however, I just want to ask this economic indicator that we received for December, do we pay to get that?
It's one of the items of delivery from Enterprise Great Lake Taupo, so we do pay, but through that grant.
Just that they're available to anyone on the internet. I print them off regularly, so should be getting them for nothing.
This one's tailored to the Taupo district.
That's the one. Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
Councillor Cousins?
Through the chair, I just wanted to just note it on pulling up the first page with the statement of comprehensive revenue and expenses. We're running well ahead for our total revenue, which I can only assume has been bolstered by our development and fees, or something like 8%, but we've managed to hold our personnel employment costs, that's down by 4%. That's pretty good. Is that, Tina, did you take a pay cut or?
Management.
Good girl. Champagne for you for Christmas.
No, I think Mr. Green alluded to that earlier on, Mr. Ward, you know, the operating cost down and revenue up. It's got to be a good news story. So that's what we aspire to be. So, any other, Councillor Williamson?
Through the chair, just regarding page 117 regarding the TL plan, it says 11% investment in the share market. I'm personally pretty happy with, I know realised, unrealised foreign exchange gains. The $700,000 they're not sold, but that's a gain, it's positive. And also realised foreign exchange gains are positive 55,000. So I'm pretty happy to see those figures. I have all this complete confidence in Neil and the financial.
We have actually been quite active through the chair in this regard. For example, last week we sold some National Australia Bank shares, which gave us in 3 months a 13% return. So it's just a matter of when we buy, we have an exit strategy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Councillor Williamson, sorry. Any other questions or queries of the Chief Executive and his team this afternoon? No? All right, suggested recommendation there. The Council notes the information contained in the Council Performance Report, month of December. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Okay, so we'll go now, as per arrangements, we'll go to 6.3, Ruapehu Alpine Lifts Economic Development Opportunity.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, as this was to be in confidence, some of our guests will not have this document to read while we go through it. Is there any way that they can be supplied?
We'll take
a 2-minute break.
Do you want to take a break now, or should we we'll get the copies now?
Get the copies. Okay, while we're getting copies, perhaps we'll should we sneak through to the next item, perhaps? Okay. So we'll go to 5.6, we'll go back to 5.7. Adoption of Taupo District Council local government statement. Who is presenting that? Oh, Tina. Okay, that doesn't help, does it? All right, we'll have a 2 minute break then. Just adjourn the meeting for 2 minutes while we get some copies for you good fine gentlemen down the back there. And ladies.
Well, actually, it's also my rural lifestyle team who've been going on about it.
16 acres of land.
Yeah, I know. I was at a phone call and I was quickly checking, but now I'm good.
Really? It's ridiculous.
It's about 2 k's from the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, upstairs.
Look at it. It's hitting on Facebook. Well done. Okay, all right, back to 6.3.
Okay.
Who have we got?
Ready?
Yep, ready to go. Thanks, John.
Okay, so you heard the presentation this morning, which I think you'll probably agree is pretty exciting. This item here is really around an opportunity to invest, I guess, and support and partner with Tourism New Zealand for the next 2 years. So there's a couple of procedural things you need to discuss. So first of all, the report obviously gives you quite a bit of background to that discussion today. The request as outlined is twofold. Firstly is for this current financial year, 2016-17, is $100,000 plus GST unbudgeted item towards that campaign. And the following year, 2017-18, the same value of $100,000 plus GST. I need to refer you to point 6.3, which is on page 12 of the which was the confidential item, and is really around the consideration as to whether or not it's significant requires consultation. The advice that we're giving you is it doesn't trigger that, so therefore doesn't require any consultation. So I'll take any questions, but I guess it's up to yourselves to have a discussion now as to supporting this proposal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ed. Just in clarification, money, if approved, how does that get transposed over to the organisation? Does it get paid to who?
Through the chair, a couple of points here. One is that in the current year, unbudgeted, but we have significant surplus, as you found out in the council's performance report. For next year, it is in the draft annual plan, which you will be considering next week. We will show you the steps as to the rate increases as the effect of these particular items. But the actual payment, if it's approved, is an agreement between council and the Ruapehu Alpine Lifts.
Okay. Thank you. All right, questions of Mr. Red or Mr. Manhannan?
Chairman, I don't think any of this room would be against what is wanting to be achieved. I'm just wondering, when we talk about a significant whatever, the fact that we would be giving $100,000 to, if you like, a commercial operation worries me a little bit. I would suggest that that's significant.
So if I can answer, Mr. Chairman, probably the key thing is that this is going, and you'll read in the recommendation, toward the Tourism New Zealand marketing campaign. So it's not, this isn't a cheque going to Ruapehu Alpine Lifts. This is towards a specific campaign run by Tourism New Zealand, and that's quite clear in the resolution there. So, so it's not a commercial prop up. This is about economic development with TNZ.
Why then aren't we directly making that money payment to Tourism New Zealand?
So this money, along with RAL money, Tourism New Zealand money, and other money that can be obtained, and you heard about the discussion about Auckland Airport and others this morning, that'll all be put into the pool, and that then will determine the size of the marketing campaign, and then the bills will be paid by there, through there.
When we look forward and we're looking to, you just mentioned before, 17-18, do we then look at this as part of the tourism marketing of Taupo in regards to the budget we give Destination Great Lake Taupo?
Yes, so for next year, through the annual plan, our recommendation is that that budget needs to be increased by 100,000 to accommodate this activity. We don't believe that it can be accommodated within Destination Great Lake Taupo's current budget, hence this paper's before you today. So this is additional to business as usual, if you like.
If we're looking going forward, Mr. Chairman, to any expenditure to have a sum of 100,000 going into one particular budget, once again I say it is significant. I'm not happy with it, but I'm not going to vote against it.
Any other? Councillor Rankin.
Like I said this morning, it's a gift to Taupo. We could never afford to do this ourselves. And in terms of economic development, it's enormous. This is a tiny contribution compared with the benefits the town is going to get. It's a solid investment, and I absolutely support it.
Councillor Park.
Yeah, I'm with Councillor Rankin on this one. I just wonder if perhaps if it was to give Councillor Body some comfort, if when it is added, if it does get added next year to the DGLT budget, that it is then tagged in writing, so that would that give you some comfort, Councillor Body, perhaps? And we've done that in the past with different things where like 25k was tagged for business attraction and things like that, so then we know it's not going to get swallowed into other projects.
I may have almost put you wrong. So the 100, what we'll be saying for next year as part of the annual plan is that the economic development group of activities needs to increase by 100,000 to accommodate this activity. So it's not that DGLT's budget increases by 100,000, it's that the economic development group of activities does. And I think that's in the resolution. Yes, it is. It's in the recommendation as well.
Yeah, it's in the recommendation.
But then, Mr. Chairman, then for the 17-18, when we're doing the LTP, that would be part of that long-term plan, and that long-term plan is subject to submissions by ratepayers. So, Yeah, so what we're doing, we give here, because you're claiming it's not significant, we're not giving the ratepayer the opportunity to have an input.
So, and that's in this significant section of the paper, and essentially we're saying, given the quantum of the expenditure and given the benefits associated with it, we do not believe that it's significant.
Councillor Cousins?
Through the chair, so to Gareth actually, so what you're saying is that after the second year, it will drop off, correct? Back to what it was?
So
you're going to come to us and say, oh, it's already there, we're going to keep it there.
So these resolutions only cover the remainder of this year and next year into your annual plan. As part of your long-term plan, you'll then have to consider going forward what your economic development contribution is in total.
So, and one thing I'm concerned about is, because I'm totally supportive, but everywhere I read, it's Taupo, Taupo, Taupo. Even Christine said town, town, town. And even when you read the recommendation, it's Taupo is the resort town. I'm conscious I'm representing 6,000 people in southern end of the lake, and I'm not seeing district enough for me.
So I guess you heard this morning that that the service the bus service as an example, will have a stop in Turangi, and obviously...
Even recommendation, if you could say, as the winter resort district, or winter, you've got, everything is based around town. I don't want to get, small brother or anything like that. I've got to sell this back to the town, to the Southern Lake. And I want it to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. I suppose I'm asking for a mentality of all parties concerned that this is about our district. It's not about Taupo-centric.
So I guess, absolutely. So this is about the reason that Taupo is as I understand it, YRL and TGLT are looking at Taupo as the town, is that we have that scope of accommodation, etc. But ultimately what this is intending and doing is growing the pie. So growing more money in town.
I totally get it.
Hopefully, my goal would be that once operators in Turangi see those busloads of people going through Turangi, it's a chicken and egg thing, then all of a sudden there's an opportunity to grow more product down there, and therefore there's that economic flow
through, not past. That's
right. That's right.
Through the chair.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes, I'm totally taking on Councillor Cousins' point, thinking district-wide and the benefits to the whole district. I'm totally supportive of the whole proposal. We had an excellent presentation from Ross and Damien Coots this morning. Collaborative thing, it's just got to be $100,000 over each of the next 2 years. It's just a pimple in the landscape compared to the benefits that we're going to get as a region.
Councillor Kingy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'm totally supportive of everything that's been said, totally supportive of the plan. I think, one of the key things a lot of us stood for in this term was economic development and job opportunities creation. This is a golden egg staring us in the face. Everything that the council does that's our business as usual type stuff just happens, but this is one of those opportunities we just need to grab with two hands and back it, because I think, whilst Taupo was communicated as being the focus around this, I understand that it's about capacity, but I think, Zane, for you and I, at the southern end, and even for our colleague here among Kennel, it's up to us to also lead our communities forward to actually grab that opportunity, because it's, it's going to be there. We just have to get our hands on it, so totally supportive of everything.
Thank you, Councillor King. All right, it all sounds pretty good. Nothing further. No? Okay, we have a suggested recommendation there. The council approve unbudgeted expenditure of 100k plus GST for economic development activities. So 1 and 2, correct? Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Carried. Lovely, thank you very much.
Please note in the minutes.
Just acknowledge Mr. Copeland in the back there, CEO. Welcome, as I said earlier, welcome to the district, Ross, and we look forward to you buying a house here and starting to pay rates. It's a game changer. It's exciting. I've been here a long time, and this is one of the most exciting things I've seen come through, and I'll be looking forward to that 30-minute shuttle going past here every day. That will look fantastic. So, yeah, we'll be timing it. Okay, so we go back to number 5.7. Yeah, 5.7. Adoption of Taupo District Council Local Government Governance Statement. Mrs. Tina Jakes. Good afternoon, Tina.
So this is one of three items that are a bit procedural in terms of adoptions. The local government statement is one of those that we need to review and adopt. And really there's just a few changes to the old governance statement that we had. So on page 132, there's some additional information in there regarding legislation, included the Lagoima Financial Markets, Health and Safety and Public Records Act in there. On page 135, there's just a change in terms of recognising our significance and engagement policy, which was adopted after that initial governance statement was done in 2013. And an update in terms of our working with Māori as well. And then the last main one is around the bylaws. So you'll see on the last page the schedule. So that's page 145 and 146. The changes there in terms of the bylaws.
Lovely, thanks, Tina. Councillor Park.
Thanks, Tina. I just had a couple of questions, and I'm not sure, maybe Mr. McAddy might be able to help. And on page 132, under 6.4 with the legislation, I was just a bit confused about, it says elected council members, including the mayors, excluding mayor, councillors, not community board, and the CE are by default identified as officers. I thought under the Health and Safety Act that elected members were excluded from that.
No, they're excluded from liability.
Right.
But still have a duty here.
Yeah. Great, thank you. And just in regards to, I know there were a few changes with the long-term plan last time with, significance and engagement and everything else. And for the first time, we had an infrastructure strategy. Does that not need to be included in here? I mean, it's not a policy per se, but it's still an essential document of the LTP, which is new.
Yep, can certainly include
139,
that.
sorry,
Yep.
page 139, yeah.
Yep.
Great, thank
Add
you.
that in.
Thank you, Councillor Park. Councillor Rankin.
Thank you. Tina, it's not a question, it sort of comes from this and that health and safety piece, which means that we're officers. If we have a duty of care, I haven't seen an agenda that tells me what incidents are happening and what we've done in terms of health and safety. And shouldn't we have, or does it go somewhere I don't see?
So our audit and risk will be getting the agenda, and we are having some discussions in terms of whether that should actually come up to council or not, seeing it's
probably one of those things that we need to change. So up to now, we've always had it audit and risk, but in
Because
saying
it was a
that,
full council.
audit and risk was full council. It's probably not the right place now because we've reduced down the membership of that audit and risk, and now under the Act, you all have that duty of care. So it probably will come up to this agenda item.
In the other organisations I'm involved in, like the health boards, for example, they have it as a key item on every main board agenda because it is so, we are so responsible.
So that's definitely my intention, is that it will come back up
Thank
to.
you. Thank you.
Councillor.
Okay.
Sorry, Councillor Body.
Thank you. Mr Jakes, just on page 137, we talk about the Maori Rates Officer. We already have one, do we not?
we do.
So that's not new, is it?
No.
Just it was, because it was a different colour, I thought it might have been.
Oh, it's
I
just
checked on the
hasn't
internet,
been included in the
past.
old one, so we've just added that in.
because I went into the internet and it said that we did have one, so.
Councillor Cousins.
I don't know if it's actually meant to, should be under it or not. I just thought of it, which was page 140 under request for official information. It's probably more just a discussion for us. I feel like as a councillor, when people Lagoima stuff and we find out about it second hand, it's like we're caught on the hop. Should it be in here, or should it just be a thing that we all get supplied with stuff naturally if someone Lagoimas it?
We get it weekly.
Oh, is it? No, the actual information, not actually who's done it, the information. Well, you don't get that many.
We provide them in the weekly updates, and my
Yeah.
suggestion would be if there's one that you want the information,
ask.
just
Yeah.
flick an email
Right,
back and we
okay.
can make sure you get that at the same time.
Sure. That's good.
Okay, thank you very much, Tina. Any other questions or queries of Tina? Suggested recommendation there on 5.7. The council adopts the Taupo District Council Local Governance Statement for publication. Moved by... Amendments, sorry. Moved by councillor Hickling, seconded by councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. 5.8.
So this is in relation to remuneration, appointment and remuneration of directors policy, and the really only change in that is around the CCTO and outlining in terms of appointments to the TAA, what is currently the practice in relation to specifically the business representative appointment onto that committee.
Okay. Pretty straightforward policy. All right, go and move it, please. Thank you, councillor Rankin, seconded by councillor Hickling. We adopt the appointment and remuneration directors policy. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 5.9, Code of Conduct.
So you'll remember we did a workshop on this, and I forwarded to you a copy of the changes that I thought I'd heard from you all, which are outlined there. There's been a couple of additional changes since then, which I'd just like to take you through, and that's just in relation on page 159 to include in the Code of Conduct not only elected and community board members, but also appointed and co-opted members to committees, that they'll be tied to this as well. On page 161, that's the information in terms of roles and responsibilities for the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, which came as a result of the workshop. 165. So the request was around strengthening up the confidential information, which I've attempted to do in that wording. And 161 in terms of, just have to find it, sorry. That. 165. So, well, sorry, 169. So, complaint. Any complaint made by CEO goes to the deputy or the mayor. And on page 180, an addition of a declaration to be signed, which is similar to one that was on in the old Code of Conduct. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks. Thanks, Tina. Any questions regarding the Code of Conduct? Right, all good behaving themselves today, aren't they, Tina? Okay. Recommendation there on 5.9. We adopt it. Could I have a move, please? Councillor Johns? Seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. 5.10, Council Engagements, Conference and Opportunities. Sorry.
Worship was at a Freudian slip.
Opportunities, sorry. Tina.
So no changes to those engagements, and we'd just like some names of those who might like to attend the Zone 2 conference or meeting in Hamilton on the 3rd of March. If anybody's available for that.
Which is Friday.
Friday, the 3rd of March.
Okay, anyone keen? Would you be interested?
I'm busy chewing wheat for gummy parrots that night, so no, I can't do it. No.
What? It's very what?
Wheat for gummy parrots.
Drink what that means.
Yeah.
Councillor Boddy, would you be interested
No,
in going
thank you, I'm
to?
busy that day.
Okay, all right.
Sure you are.
Okay, there don't appear to be any takers for that one there, Tina. Hamilton too. So
Code of conduct.
so we might just have to put our apologies in for that one, I think, because Ironman here.
Busy weekend.
Most people are tied up with that too, you know. Okay, any other changes to the dates or any times? Councillor Park?
Sorry, if I can just mention, in Mr Fox's absence, council agreed late last year for Councillor Kingy and I to attend a forum in Christchurch to do with resilience and whatnot, which was meant to be this month. Due to events with Kaikoura and etc., that's been delayed until later in the year. So just to let everyone know, we haven't been, so that's why I haven't heard anything about it.
Through the chair, then can I ask for your accommodation budget for Christine Daly for the...
103 at Ibis.
Was it? Otherwise, I have to share a room with them. Yeah, on my trip. Because they don't have any they don't have money in their budget and go to Tongariro for accommodation.
Twizel.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Well, yeah. I don't mind sharing a room with her, but I don't know if she wants to share a room with me.
Camp Stretcher?
Well, yeah. How do I ask for funds for that?
Just ask you.
She works for an external organisation, so she'd have to make the application through that.
Discretionary fund.
Jeez. I need 14 references.
Stop it.
All right, thank you, Tina. Nice to see you again. There's no other changes of dates?
Sorry?
No changes, so
You have to do it in public.
just move in number one, I presume?
Yes, just number one.
Just number one, that we received the information, the councillors log in all those dates. Go for mover, please. Councillor Jollins, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Members' reports. If they could be circulated and given to Shani, I think. If anyone's got any members' report, does anyone want to have any verbal reports? Councillor Park?
Just one thing I'd like to mention is I'd really like to congratulate the Taupo Greenstone Entertainment. The Taupo Summer Concert this year was absolutely outstanding. Year on year, the infrastructure and the facilities available and the levels of service grow and grow and grow. And we hope, like you yourself hosted the Deputy Prime Minister, and we also had some big chiefs from Air New Zealand and etc. there, and I think it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to go again, and it's great to be amongst so many people who have got such great big ideas and want to do so much for the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was.
Thank you.
Very much
Do
so.
you mind noting all that? Because the promoters do appreciate that sort of feedback, because as you know, logistically there's a lot of work goes into that. And
I
not
made
only-
a point of actually speaking to them personally and thanking them for the invitation.
And it was really great to get them to actually have that one-on-one conversation with Air New Zealand, because they do have, they bring in international artists who they've had some issues at customs and had some issues with different things, and so it's been just that one-on-one conversation has probably saved both parties a lot of money. Probably next year it could probably be about 5 degrees cooler, but apart from that, it was perfect.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Councillor Park. Anyone else?
Just on
Councillor Cousins?
throwing it out there, a couple of things happened in the Turangi area. One was the Go Tongariro feasibility study. I was talking to Tong and you about it, David, earlier on. Just a couple of little hitches, but certainly we haven't lost focus and we're moving forward positively with that. The Westerveld honey extraction plant, Tong, I forgot to mention this last night at our Business After 5. They are going through council approval at the moment to get the extraction plant underway. Some hitches there, Gareth, or? Relatively straightforward. Yeah. And I got a phone call this morning from Tesla in Australia wanting to look at Turangi as a charging station for electric cars.
Tesla have employed a Popal boy as their main salesperson, yeah. So Zach Aldridge has got the job, yeah, so, which is awesome.
Mark's son.
Yeah, Mark's stepson.
Stepson.
Lisa's son, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Although you can't buy them, can you, at the moment? You've got about a 4-year waiting list or something. Something like that.
Through the chair.
Sorry, John.
On the 11th of February, I went to a hui at the Nukuhea Marae with the Rahoto Land Rights group regarding freedom camping. Just with Rowan Sapsford and Jane Budge were there just to explain. We went through the whole plan, particularly regarding Reed's Farm. It was things like name changes and potential name changes, etc. Just the whole process. That was well received.
Thank you, John. Very good. Okay, if there's any written reports, if we could forward them up to Shaney here, be good. Okay, recommendation, the reports be received. Moved by Councillor Kigi, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. That's that part of the agenda. Now we move into confidence I'm worried about the broadcast. No, what to do in here. So if I could have a mover to move into confidence, Councillor Park, thank you. Seconded Councillor Rankin.
Is there something new come up?
What's that?
Still minutes.
Just a minute. Oh, a minute. Yeah. Yes, thanks, Tina. Thanks, gentlemen. Catch you later.
Well, that's good about Westerville. I was going to have a chat to you because I was getting a bit worried.
Oh, they haven't. I have all the way through, yeah. Cameras are on us though.
It did stop me from saying
Yeah. Do you remember that time I said the F word in here?
We are still broadcasting.
Oh, sorry.
What was that about chewing wheat?
Every time you said the S word here.
What about Ben and Jono the other night, their opening program? The guy that's there, not Ben or Jono, said F-U-C-K on here. It's a live broadcast.
He's a big red button.
I don't watch, I heard about it.
He should be a big red button somewhere up on your TV.
Oh, here he is. Grundy.
That's
slurry and
not even funny.
7 days.
coffee makes full of something.
All right.